1, 2, 3. Okay, what do you see immediately happening? What's going on here?
Falling apart.
It's falling apart. There's nothing to hold those soil particles together. It's simply collapsing. Within seconds, it's collapsing. Now, if there were rainfall on here and the soil structure fell apart like that, what do you think would happen to the soil surface? It would seal off. It doesn't have anything to hold the soil structure together, and it's simply going to fall apart, sealing the soil over and causing the water to run off instead of infiltrate down in the soil. And that's what this next test does.
What you're looking at is the difference between, again, tilling your soil and what people think is loosening it up to improve infiltration, keeping residue on the surface, which you may do with undercutting tools. There may be some tillage involved, but again, you allow some residue to remain on the surface. And what we're doing here is simulating, say, a cover crop that you're planting during the winter, or again, during the growing season, or right before, right after your cash crop. What's happened here, if you look at the jars, and again, we'll take them off for you, is that the majority of the water that we've applied is run off of the field. Very little infiltration has occurred, and most of the water that's being applied either by rainfall or through your irrigation system is being lost. Not only are you losing water that you're applying, but you're also losing topsoil. The precious topsoil that you're trying to build is being lost along with all the nutrients. Nutrients and organic matter that's being built up in that surface few inches is being lost to nearby waterways. And I can't say this enough, but water quality is probably the #1 resource concern right now that the Ag Center as well as NRCS is dealing with across the country. So just know it's very important for you to keep that topsoil, that organic matter, and those nutrients on your operation. You can see just by leaving a little bit of residue that we have quite a bit more infiltration. You can see the difference between bare soil and just a little bit of surface residue. What that surface residue is doing is protecting the soil and again dissipating that energy from the raindrop, allowing it to slowly infiltrate into the soil. And those very small particles, instead of being dislodged and blinding off those pore spaces that allow infiltration, it's allowing the water to slowly infiltrate. And I mean, again, you do have some infiltration. This is kind of a in between, or I mean, it's okay, but it could be better. And you can see there is some flow through into the system. This is water that you're banking for later on, and this is your water storage capacity. And you can see the best system is again to keep a living root growing throughout the year. And the best way to do that, in addition to obviously growing your cash crops, is to plant cover crops. And cover crops will not only help you improve infiltration year-round, but they'll also help you build organic matter. And it's organic matter that's responsible for holding that soil structure in place, keeping it intact, and maintaining that water holding capacity that's so important for, again, taking advantage of irrigation water that you apply,